tell you, our support hasn't changed. My support hasn't changed. Pete is doing exactly what he needs to do. We had a bloated Department of Defense that went woke. Went woke. They had started leaning in towards a Democrat Party that has lost their direction of understanding what lethality is, what mission ready is, and about the warfighter. They became very risk adverse and try to play politics. You can't win wars and you can't deter our enemies by playing politics. And Pete is restoring the DOD's mission. And that hasn't changed. We're going to stand strong with him no matter what type of onslaught and slander the media and the left want to throw at him.
I completely agree. The last thing we want is some sort of a waste of time hearing where we're not going to learn anything, but Democrats get to go fundraise off of all of it and get to go on cable television. Nothing fruitful will come out of that. So speaking of your Senate colleagues, Senator Van Hollen from Maryland just went down to El Salvador. Let's play cut 235 to begin. Let's play cut 235.
But you told my colleague Dana Bash yesterday that you did not ask Abrego Garcia whether or not he's actually in MS-13. You said you know what his answer is. But how do you know if you did not ask him?
Well, because I know what he's said many times in court, and that's the proper forum for debating this.
So he goes all the way down to El Salvador to try and petition to get a non-American from El Salvador to come back to America, who obviously is part of MS-13. Senator, what's going on here?
It's not just a non-American. He entered the country illegally. He was two judges had already said and already suggested that he should be deported. He had a rap sheet since he's been inside the United States. Keep in mind, his first time to have contact with the police, he had a wad of cash, he had baggies of drugs, and he had cash that had the symbol "Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil," which is a direct coalition to MS-13. So he had ties to him. And so there's no question about it. But here you have Senator Van Hollen, who spent taxpayer dollars to fly down to meet with an illegal alien that entered the country illegally, that had broke the law since he'd been here, that had ties to a organization. And it's not just us. The court had said this too. He can deny it all he wants, but most criminals deny their crimes anyways. So for Van Hollen not to look him in the eye and ask the question tells you all you need to know about this radical Democrat Party. They don't care. It's not about what's doing right. It's about a message piece. It's about getting promotion. It's about seeing what they can do to have 15 minutes of fame. And that's all that Senator Van Hollen did here. He wasn't trying to solve a problem. He saw an opportunity that he felt like he could get on national TV for, and guess what? He has. But his constituents should see that he's not fighting for the rule of law. He's fighting for himself so he doesn't get caught up in this same situation that Chuck Schumer's caught up in and could cost him his office. You don't have Democrats that are serving for the good of the American people. You have Democrats that are self-serving themselves, and that's what's happening inside the Democrat Party right now.
I'd love to keep you for another segment, Senator. I don't know if you have time or not, but let's just tease this out super quick. Okay, great. About a minute remaining, and then let's build this out after the break. We're hearing from the Trump White House. We're hearing from Kevin Hassett. Big, beautiful bill is coming. I know I've asked you about this for quite some time. Bring us into the room. Bring the audience into the room from the ability that you are able to share. What are the negotiations like? Is it a mood of optimism? Is it one of hope that we're going to get this thing done? It's just a matter of ironing out the details. 1 minute, and then we'll pick it up after the break, Senator.
Yeah, so real quick, we're ironing out the details on tax permanent law versus permanent policy or current policy. We'll get into that. We are very optimistic. We feel like our timeline, it's not set in stone, but our timeline, we would love to be able to deliver this to the president's desk before Memorial Weekend. Now, I will tell you that's a tall order because there's details when we get back from the break that we can get into on some real differences between the House and the Senate and why current policy versus current law and tax policy, it plays a huge pivotal point in this.
Yeah, please stay right there. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from the things like green energy giveaways. We've been covering that on our show. And what did Americans get? We just got stuck with the bill. But one of the most devastating aspects of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act is a hidden provision known as the Biden pill penalty. a policy that's gutted funding for the development of potential life-saving medicines. In just the last 3 years, investments plummeted, forcing researchers to abandon potential breakthroughs for cancer, Alzheimer's, and other deadly diseases. Promising drugs that could have extended lives and even led to cures are now on the chopping block. It goes after basic incentives. So what does that mean for you? It means potentially fewer cures and higher costs. The good news is that President Trump is back and Republicans control Congress. Call them today and urge Congress to eliminate the Biden pill penalty before more potential cures are lost. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen continues with us. So, Senator, can we just go? Let me just kind of go through three things: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and then no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and then finally the kind of middle class tax cut, no tax on Social Security. Is this a realistic thing that you think we're going to get in the big beautiful bill?
Well, we can't do. There's some stuff in Social Security we can't get to. So there's some of the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security that may not fit within the Byrd rule. We're going through that process. Either way, we're still going to bring it back in a separate package because the president said he wants that. The American people said they wanted that, so we're going to try getting it done. If we can do it in reconciliation, that's great. Now, and this is the way I describe the Byrd rule. The House doesn't have to deal with the Byrd rule. We do. So what the budget did is it instructed the Senate more than it instructed the House on what can and can't go into the bill. Remember, you only get one shot at it. If you get the bill and you send it up and it's against the Byrd rule, you got to scrap the bill, redo the whole thing all over again. So we have to work with the parliamentarian moving forward. The best way to describe it is the House can put it in there. The House can put whatever they want into a bill. But that's kind of considering the House can walk into a warehouse through the open, a dock door. And once they get in, they have to close it. And then the Senate has to knock the glass out of the top part of it and try to squeeze everything in through the Byrd rule. So we don't know if it can get in there or not. We feel we've got a bill that addresses it, that tries to make it in, but it's remember, it's an appropriation bill. So some of the stuff with Social Security can't be touched in it.
Got it. So just one last question on this spending cuts, and I do want to get to the Milwaukee judge. Just 1 minute on spending cuts. What can we expect? Because tax cuts are wonderful, but if we do not have equal, if not greater, spending cuts, then we're just going to keep on driving up the deficit. Are your colleagues thinking in this way?
Yeah, so there's two ways. Absolutely. Our target is $1.5 trillion. That's our target of cuts, $1.5 trillion. I feel like we can hit that, but it's hard once you really get in there because, everybody's got great ideas, but when you actually put the concept down on how it's going to be delivered, it's tough. Now, through rescission, not through reconciliation, we may be able to get even more cuts through rescission. So basically, rescission and reconciliation runs together, right? We're doing we're doing rescission, we're doing reconciliation, we're doing budget. Rescission, basically, and Elon and I had a conversation about this yesterday, that anything that isn't appropriated by Congress, meaning that this, like USAID, that wasn't reauthorized by Congress, and we didn't directly appropriate dollars for those programs they were doing, they can be rescinded. And when they're rescinded, now they can also be taken away, and the president chooses not to spend it. But when you rescind it, and he sends it to Congress as a rescission package, if Congress votes on it to rescind it, then the next president can't come up and just restart the program. So rescission makes this stuff permanent. So we're working really close with Doge and Elon to get this done. Then reconciliation, we can go back in farther and make cuts to the agencies themselves, which is where we're going to be targeting $1.5 trillion. And I'm telling you, that's our target. We may be able to do more than that. I don't want to give people false hope. But when we really start putting the pen and paper together, that's our target, $1.5 trillion. And then we're going to slowly get our house back in order. What we're really trying to do is get back, and I think Ron Johnson has said this the best, we'd really like to get to 2019 spending levels pre-COVID. And that way we can actually have a true path to balance the budget. And the president has made it very clear he wants to balance the budget while he's in office, and we want to deliver that for him. But keep in mind, we probably need to try doing that. If we can't do it in FY26, we're going to definitely have to do it by FY28, because God forbid something happens in the midterm and we were to lose one of the chambers, no way the Democrat Party is going to let us balance the budget.
No, they're going to be uninterested in that. 30 seconds, Senator. You're caught up to speed now on the arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, charges of obstruction. What's going on here?
Well, I'm glad that the Cash made this public because he's been taking on a little heat from our base. Actually, Cash and Pam both want to know what are they doing. They need to get started. This just shows you that they do a lot of stuff behind closed doors and they can't do it in public, but they're acting fast on it. I mean, this is just a case that actually developed a week ago that Cash was able to put the information together and arrest a judge for obstruction of justice, for literally running blocker for an illegal immigrant so he could try getting away, and they had to chase him down by foot. Cash and Pam are working every day to get this woke, political motivated bench and start holding them accountable. But it's difficult, and I hope our base will realize you're going to see stories like this trickle out. But just because you're not seeing them out there every day, most of the cases they're talking about that they can't talk about until afterwards.
I've got to run. Senator, thank you so much. Keep fighting hard. Come back soon.